This is the Duke, and this is his forbidden love. Our story begins in 1869 London. Theodore Ashton, the newly ensconced Duke of Ravenswood, had the weight of his title pressing down on him like a physical burden. Having just turned 21, he now had to find a bride and produce an heir, or else risk losing his dukedom. But Theo wasn't looking for just any bride. He was searching for a true love, someone who would be his equal, his confidant, his best friend. Someone like his late mother, who had tragically passed away when he was only 14, leaving him alone and vulnerable in a world that offered little solace. Theo found himself drawn to art and music, immersing himself in the creative world of London's Bohemia. There he met Amelia Hayes, an aspiring artist whose spirit and talent captivated him. Their connection was immediate and intense, something Theo had never experienced before. In Amelia's eyes, he saw kindness, intelligence, and a shared love for beauty. She was everything he had dreamed of in a wife, except for one tiny detail. She wasn't a duchess. In fact, she wasn't even close. She was a poor artist, living in a garret with barely enough money to buy paint and canvas. As Theo spent more time with Amelia, his feelings for her grew stronger. He found himself thinking about her all the time, and her absence was like a physical ache in his chest. He knew that his friends and family would disapprove of her, but he couldn't help how he felt. He loved her. And so, he began to make plans to marry her, ignoring the disapproval of his friends and family. One day, Theo took Amelia to meet his grandmother, the Dowager Duchess of Ravenswood, hoping that she would give them her blessing. But the Dowager was furious. She had chosen a bride for Theo, a wealthy heiress named Lady Victoria, and she expected him to marry her. When Theo told his grandmother that he loved Amelia and wanted to marry her, the Dowager was horrified. She didn't think that a poor artist was good enough for her grandson, and she threatened to disinherit him if he married Amelia. Theo was torn between his love for Amelia and his duty to his family. Didn't want to lose his family's approval, but he couldn't imagine his life without Amelia. What was he going to do? Would he choose the woman he loved, or the life he had always known? Meanwhile, Lady Victoria was also struggling with her own set of problems. She had been arranged to marry Theo, but she had no feelings for him whatsoever. She had met him only a handful of times, and each encounter had been awkward and uncomfortable. She knew that her family was only interested in the match because of Theo's title and money, and she felt like nothing more than a pawn in a game of high society chess. Lady Victoria was beautiful, with long flowing red hair and a figure that could launch 1,000 ships. But her beauty was only skin deep. Underneath that porcelain skin was a heart of stone, cold and unfeeling. She had grown up in a world of privilege, and had learned that the only way to survive was to be ruthless and cunning. She had no qualms about using people to get what she wanted, and would stop at nothing to achieve her goals. When Lady Victoria heard that Theo was in love with another woman, she was furious. She had waited so long to marry him, and she wasn't going to let some poor artist come along and snatch him away from her. She knew that she had to act quickly and decisively, and she began to plot her revenge. Lady Victoria decided to use Theo's own feelings for art against him. She had heard that he had a particular fondness for a rare painting called The Stolen Kiss, and she knew that it was being exhibited at a gallery in Soho. She invited Theo to go with her to see the painting. And when they arrived at the gallery, she made sure to dress in a way that would catch his eye. Theo was indeed captivated by Lady Victoria's beauty, and he found himself drawn to her like a moth to a flame. He had never seen anyone so stunning and elegant, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for her. However, his feelings for Amelia were much deeper and more meaningful. He had never loved anyone as much as he loved her, and he knew that she was the only one for him. As the weeks went by, Theo became more and more torn between his love for Amelia and his duty to his family and his title. On one hand, he didn't want to hurt his grandmother or disappoint his friends and family. On the other hand, he couldn't bear the thought of losing Amelia. He needed to find a way to make things work between them, but how? One evening, Theo was pacing his study, trying to come up with a solution to his problems, when he had a sudden realization. He didn't have to choose between Amelia and his family. He could find a way to make them all happy. He could marry Lady Victoria and make it work. Sure, it wouldn't be the same as marrying Amelia, but it would be the best way to honor his family and keep them happy. Plus, he could still spend time with Amelia and maybe eventually they could even marry. With this new plan in mind, Theo approached Lady Victoria and asked her to marry him. She was shocked, but she accepted his proposal, and the wedding was soon arranged. On the day of the wedding, Theo looked at Lady Victoria standing at the altar and felt a sense of dread wash over him. He knew that he was making a mistake, but he also knew that there was no turning back. He had to go through with it. As he exchanged vows with Lady Victoria, Theo couldn't help but think of Amelia and how much he loved her. He knew that he had made a terrible mistake, should have fought harder for Amelia. He should have risked everything for her. But now it was too late. He was married to Lady Victoria, and there was no way out. After the wedding, Theo and Lady Victoria went on their honeymoon to the south of France. Theo was hoping that the change of scenery would help him get over Amelia, but it didn't. In fact, it only made him feel worse. He missed Amelia more than anything. He wanted to be with her, not Lady Victoria. One night, Theo couldn't take it anymore. He confessed everything to Lady Victoria. He told her about his love for Amelia and how he had made a terrible mistake by marrying her. I said that he wanted to return to London and try to make things right. Lady Victoria was furious. She couldn't believe that Theo had betrayed her like this. She had done everything for him, sacrificed everything for him, and this was how he repaid her. She vowed to make him pay for what he had done. Upon his return to London, Theo sought out Amelia, only to find that she had moved away and left no forwarding address. Heartbroken and desperate, he began scouring the city, determined to find her. Meanwhile, Lady Victoria, consumed with rage and a thirst for revenge, devised a wicked plan to punish Theo for his betrayal. Theo's search for Amelia led him through the bustling streets and hidden alleys of London's Bohemia, retracing their steps and seeking out their mutual friends in the hopes of finding a clue to her whereabouts. As days turned into weeks, his desperation grew, his determination unwavering. Lady Victoria, veiled in her own dark schemes, watched Theo's every move. Relishing in his torment and devising ways to amplify his misery, she knew the depths of his love for Amelia and used this knowledge to orchestrate a series of events designed to both torment and deceive him. Theo's world was crashing down around him. The woman he loved was missing, and his every attempt to find her was thwarted by Lady Victoria's machinations. Just when he thought it couldn't get worse, he received a letter from his grandmother, the Dowager Duchess of Ravenswood, summoning him home. As Theo stood before his grandmother, the gravity of his situation became clear. The Dowager Duchess, unaware of the full extent of his turmoil, had arranged for him to meet with potential candidates for a new bride, candidates chosen by her to secure advantageous alliances for the family. The weight of his title, the pressure of societal expectations, and the torment of his forbidden love threatened to consume him. With each passing moment, Theo's resolve wavered. The prospect of finding another bride seemed like a distant, impossible dream. Yet amidst this despair, a glimmer of hope emerged. A chance encounter with an old friend provided Theo with a lead. A rumor that Amelia might have gone to Paris, hope surged through him, rekindling his determination to find her, ignoring his grandmother's pleas and the disapproving murmurs of society. Theo made plans to leave for Paris. He had to find Amelia, even if it meant defying his family and forsaking his own happiness. And that, dear viewer, brings us to the end of part 1. What will Theo find when he arrives in Paris? Will he and Amelia be reunited, or is Lady Victoria's dark plan about to unfold? Find out in part 2, coming soon. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to show your support. Your support means the world to us and inspires us to keep bringing you captivating historical romance stories. So don't miss out on our future episodes. Subscribe now and join us on our journey through time.